When we are looking at non-conventional feedstuffs, we are talking about different resources that have not yet been commercialized. You know, most farmers, when they talk about livestock feeding, they begin to think about their soybean, they think about their cotton seed cake, they think about their sunflower cake, they think about their maize. But you would find out that apart from those stuffs, we also have got a lot of other stuffs that can be utilized on farm. We've got Calanthosis, Acacia angostissima, Glycidia sepium, Lucina logosophala, Vanabonongwe, Vanampangara, Vanamuunga, Vanamoa donkey, Vanamexican clover, Piliostigmathoni jai, Dicrostachys cinera. My name is Dr. Jacob Gusha. I'm an animal scientist, a nutrition specialist, and we are going to talk about unconventional feed resources. So when we are looking at non-conventional feedstuffs, we are talking about different resources that have not yet been commercialized. You know, most farmers, when they talk about livestock feeding, they begin to think about their soybean, they think about their cotton seed cake, they think about their sunflower cake, they think about their maize. But you would find out that apart from those stuffs, we also have got a lot of other stuffs that can be utilized on farm, improving the performance of livestock in terms of growth rate, in terms of conception rate, in terms of fattening, finishing off the animals for market. So you'll find out that we are likely to reduce the time that is likely to be taken by an animal to reach puberty, the time that is likely to be taken by the livestock in terms of reaching slaughter weights. So if you want to see an improvement in terms of slaughter weights, then definitely we need to embrace some of these non-conventional feedstuffs, which sometimes farmers, they call them weeds. You can find them in the pastures, you find them in the arable land, you find them in the rangeland. So it's about just going into the rangeland and identify the plant and harvest it, conserve it, and make a difference in terms of livestock production. So these non-conventional feedstuffs, we can actually categorize them into protein feedstuffs. Like you'd find out if I'm going to be talking about the browsable legumes, where in the browsable legumes we have got our native species. Some of them, like we are going to be talking about mpangara, which they want to call Dicrostachys cinera. We have got muunga, which are in the acacia family. We have got mondoro, which also produces pods that are high in protein, ranging between 14 to 18% crude protein. So you would find out that if you have got that feed with about 18% crude protein, you have got a quality feed which can be used to sustain or to even improve performance of our dairy cows, our beef cows, our goats, our sheep. Most ruminants, they do very well with those non-conventional protein sources, which are in the form of Dicrostachys cinera, acacia pods, Piliostigmathoni jai, which is the monkey bread, Msekesa in Shona. So those are feedstuffs which farmers should be able to utilize. If they can even propagate the trees, they can propagate them through scarification, and then propagate. More knowledge can be obtained from the administration of these episodes. So if you are going to have a query or a question, you get in touch with us, and we can actually be able to help you identify what you have on farm and utilize. So we are saying, apart from those that you can get in the rangeland, which is our mpangara, our msekesa, our miunga, you can also go the commercial way, where you can actually buy seeds of Acacia angostissima, Lucina, Calanthosis, Glycidia sepium. Those are browsable legumes that are actually being promoted by ICRAF and the World Agroforestry. They are multi-purpose trees which have got the capacity to fix atmospheric nitrogen into the soil, thereby improving your soil quality. But you can also harvest them, conserve the twigs and the leaves, which you can then feed a kg per day to your animals, to your dairy cows, to your beef cows. And if you are going to be substituting a feed which is probably costing you 45 cents or 50 cents with something that costs you 5 cents to produce, it means you have saved 45 cents per day per animal. So if you are going to be doing that, you are likely to get the same benefits that you normally get with your conventional feed resources, but you are now using the non-conventional feed resources, your Leucaena leaves, which have got about 22 to 30% crude protein content. So the crude protein content, what are we saying if you are talking about 30% or 15%? We are just saying the amount of protein that is constituted by that feed is about 150 grams to 300 grams per kg. So if it is going to be digestible, it means we are going to have a feed which is going to provide amino acids, to provide the peptides, the proteins that are required by the animal to be able to be productive. So you would find out that with those non-conventional feed resources, you are likely to then improve the productivity of your cows, and you then make sure that your cows are not going to be practicing family planning, because we need a calf every year. We need at least 2 kiddings per goat per year. We need about 2 lambings per sheep per year. So if you are going to achieve those results, you need to be looking at other feed resources that are available at your disposal and make sure that you utilize them correctly. So you would find out those are supplements. I want to call that the starch. You know, in the feeding of livestock, we have got the starch and relish concept. So our grasses, our hays, our silage, our stovers, they are all the starch component. Then you need a relish, which is made up of higher protein content, like your Caliandra, like your Leucaena, like your acacia, like your Glycidia sepium, like your Mpangara, like your Peleostigma thorningi. So those are some of the non-conventional feed resources which you can then rope into your diets. Then you have got a balanced diet which is likely to improve the productivity of your animals. You know, farmers in Zimbabwe, in most cases, their animals are deficient. They are always suffering from probably they are subclinical. You may not be able to say this animal is actually this nutrient deficient, but it will be deficient of certain nutrients. That's the reason why you don't get a calf every year. That's the reason why you don't see them coming on heat frequently. That's the reason why they escape. Those animals, your goat, your sheep, your cattle, your pig, they have got a 21 cycle, which is supposed to be almost every month, every 21 days. The animal is supposed to come on heat, to experience Iskra cycle. But you would find out that because of deficiencies of protein, which is a source which is which provides the amino acids in the synthesis of hormones, in the synthesis of enzymes, in the synthesis of antibodies. So you would find out because of deficiencies in nitrogen, we are likely to see animals that are likely not to show signs of heat every month, every 21 days. And because of that, we then have got animals that are not going to conceive annually, and hence we have got a very low conception rate. You know, out of every 100 animals in Zimbabwe, probably 35% of them in the communal area are conceiving. So what it means is, like, every year we are losing probably around 65 calves that we are supposed to get annually. But we can change that through the use of non-conventional feed resources. Because when we say, can you buy good quality feed from feed houses, you say probably it's a bit expensive on your side. But we are saying there are alternatives. These are alternatives. That's what we are discussing today, to say if you don't have the cash to buy those quality feed that are produced by feed houses, what can you do? Go out into the rangeland, identify Acacia angustissima, identify Acacia nilotica, identify Muunga, harvest the pods, conserve the pods, feed your animals probably 2 kgs a day. you would find out that because munga have got pods that are rich in protein, around 16%, around 18%, if you are going to feed 2 kgs to the animal, it is likely to cover the deficit that is in your grasses, that is in your stovers, that is in your other crop residues. So non-conventional feed resources, that's the way to go for every farmer, because you cannot make an argument to say, I don't have the power to go and harvest. So definitely you can actually go out there, harvest these species, produce good quality feed your animals, because it's only a balanced diet that ensures you are going to get a calf every year. You get a calf annually. You get a cow, 2 kids twinning in your goats. You get twinning in your sheep. You get triplets in your goats. You can only achieve that when you are feeding quality feed. It's about the quality, not the quantity. So in most cases, farmers, they think about filling the tummy. But filling the tummy doesn't necessarily mean that you have given adequate nutrients that are required. You know, all our animals, they require the protein, the energy, the energy sources, which is the carbohydrates, the fats, the minerals, and the vitamins. So if you are going to be feeding your animals with a diet which is balanced, definitely you are likely to see a change. You're likely to then have animals that are going to give you a calf every year, that are going to be productive, that are going to grow at a faster rate and reduce. I often find heifers in the communal area that are almost 5 years old, 6 years old. So in Shona would call those heifers tsikombi zekumusha, but they are tsikombi. Why? Because they did not actually grow at the right rate. We are supposed to make sure that our heifers, they conceive at around 14 to 18 months, so that they give a calf at around 23 to 25 to 30 months. So that by the time we see a 5-year-old cow, it will have given you 4 calves. And imagine if each calf is costing is equivalent to 500 US. It means by the time you have got a heifer which is 5 years old, you have already lost 2,000 United States dollars that you could have actually made out of that livestock. So definitely it's because farmers are not putting the dollar value on their livestock heads. If they are going to be saying each livestock costed this much, then if you are not going to be productive, it means you are losing those dollars. So definitely this is the way to go. Farmers, they can actually harvest different plants that are found in the arable lands, like we've got Mexican clover, which some they want to call shinzungu. When you are harvesting, you can pull it out, dry it, then you have got something that is about 12% crude protein content. You can go as far as pig wheat, you can harvest, conserve it, and be able to utilize. Farmers, they can go an extra mile, get Amaranthus hybrid as more dongi, harvest a lot of Amaranthus, and make sure that you have got feed. The blackjack, those are non-conventional feed resources which can be harvested by any farmer and be able to be utilized in livestock production and be able to realize the growth rate that are associated with good quality feed. So definitely the farmers can make money. That's the reason why we are saying kurima mombe, kurima mari, kurima nguruwe, kurima mari, kurima, whatever you are going to be growing, you are actually making money. You know, you need to milk your own money. But for you to be able to do those things, you definitely need to start looking at alternative feed resources that are going to make your business slightly cheaper and also sustainable. So in these non-conventional feed resources, you would find out that a lot of people would be saying, are these suitable for different classes of animal? Yes. We have got monogastric animals, we have got ruminant animals. So when we are talking about ruminant animals, we are talking about those animals that chew the cud. By chewing the cud, we mean they have got 4 chambers, which are the rumen, the reticulum, amasum, and abomasum. So you see, those 4 chambers, they play various functions. So the rumen mostly is the one where we have got a lot of fermentation, microbial digestion taking place there. So what it means is, like, when you are feeding a ruminant animal, definitely you are feeding the microbes. You are not feeding the cow itself. So it have got 2 digestive systems. The first one looks at the microbial fermentation, and the second one looks at the host's digestive system, which is probably equivalent to the monogastric. So the monogastric are the animals that have got a single stomach, like a human being, a pig. So when you are feeding monogastric, you are likely to be more concerned about the quality of feed in terms of amino acids. For example, we have got to make sure that all the essential amino acids are provided. But when you are dealing with ruminant animals, probably you just need to make sure that there is a source of ammonia, which is critical for the microbes to synthesize their own microbial amino acids. So definitely there's no deficiency in amino acids when we are talking about ruminants, but we talk about deficiencies when we are talking about monogastric. But the non-conventional feed resources that we are talking about, you would find out that with a little inclusion of even browsable legumes in certain diets of your pigs, in certain diets of your poultry, you are likely to start seeing a positive development, because sometimes these browsable legumes, especially legumes, the forage legumes and browsable legumes, they are known to have high protein content, but at the same time a good content in terms of minerals like calcium, phosphorus, and magnesium, and other important minerals that are required for the development of animals. So definitely when you are feeding legumes, you are likely to be feeding probably a better quality feed. So definitely when you are looking at your cereal, which is your grasses, as well as your legumes, you would find out that legumes are superior in terms of digestibility, in terms of protein quality, in terms of protein content, and in terms of even mineral and vitamin content. So definitely when you are using those legumes, you are likely to be actually using feed that is likely to promote growth at the right rates and promote good reproductive performance. So these forage legumes that I've talked about, which is the Calliandra calothysus, the Glucidium sepium, the Acacia angostissima, the Leucina leucocephala, Leucina pallida. There are a variety of these things that can be obtained on the market. Actually, definitely you just need to get in touch and we will give you some of these species that you can actually utilize and be able to harvest and use in your feeding of livestock. Whether you are in poultry production, in roadrunner production, you are in pig production, you are in dairy production, you are in beef production, you are in goat production, you are in sheep production, all these species, what they just need is a good quality feed. So definitely when you have got these resources, we can just give you the combination of how you can actually, the ratio that you need to be feeding to these animals, and definitely those should be able to help you get what you need. So apart from these forage legumes that can be obtained from the rangeland, from the pasture land, we can also talk about legumes that can be grown, like the velvet bean, the Jacob bean, the cowpea, the lab, the sunham. So these species that we are talking about, we call them non-conventional feed resources because they are not yet commercialized. You cannot actually go to the shop and buy them. You can actually be able to grow them at your farm, and when you grow these species, you can actually be able to harvest them when they are at 50% flowering. Harvest, dry them under shade, and you have got your green fodder, which you can then use to feed your animals. Or you can conserve them as silage. You can actually incorporate them into your silage. When you are making maize silage, probably you have got 70% maize and 30% your cowpea, 30% your velvet bean, 30% your lab, 30% your pigeon pea. So if you are going to be using these species, definitely you have a silage that is high in protein. Imagine if you are going to be using grass silage or maize silage, the protein content is between 5 and 8%. But when you are going to be using an intercropped plant, or you are going to be using a mixture of a legume and a cereal, definitely your protein content could rise to about 11 to 12%. And if you are feeding an animal with a protein content which is above 7, you are likely to see an improvement in performance, because any feed that is lower than 7% crude protein for ruminants is likely to affect its voluntary feed intake. And the voluntary feed intake is the amount of feed that can be eaten by an animal without forcing it. Actually, the amount that it can voluntarily take in. is based on the quality of feed. You know, the quality of feed determines the amount that is likely to be taken in. We all agree that if you go to a hotel and you are going to have your buffet eating, you are going to eat more than what you can actually eat at home when you are going to just have your one piece of meat and probably a little bit of vegetable and your big plate of salsa. So definitely you eat less in that condition. But when you have got a variety of these ingredients, definitely are likely to eat more. So this is the philosophy that should be taken to the livestock product, to the livestock industry, to say when you want to feed your livestock, what are the ingredients that can be rubbed in, which are cheaper in terms of making them, which are not actually in competition with human beings. For example, human beings are competing with livestock in terms of soya bean, because we also want soya chunks and soya nyama, and their livestock, they need the cake to be able to be productive. So by the end of the day, but if the farmers are going to be looking at alternative ingredients that are high in protein and make sure that they rope it in, they start producing good quality feed, they will see that there's an improvement in terms of performance of livestock. So definitely the farmer has to grow their sunham, have to grow their lab, have to grow their cowpea, have to grow other materials that they can actually be able to utilize and improve performance of their livestock. So that's the story. That's my story. That's what I'm saying. That the Zimbabwean farmers have the capacity to look at their where they are, identify species that have got high protein content, and be able to rope them into the livestock feeding. So that when you are feeding your livestock, you are feeding better quality feed. You are conserving better quality feed. Actually, you would find out that even your grasses, Zimbabwean farmers, they've got a tendency of harvesting hay during the dry period of the year. During May, June, July, August, they will be harvesting hay. That is not hay. That is not for livestock. That is for something else. Actually, you're supposed to be harvesting your hay during the right time of the year, like for example now in February. Now when the grasses are green, you harvest them, you conserve them. You are going to have a feed which is about 11% crude protein content. That in every kg you have got 110 grams of protein in it, and digestibility could be around 60-70%, which what it means is out of a kg, 600 grams is going to remain in the body of the animal and 400 grams goes out. But when you harvest in August, you are getting something that is going to be 30% digestible, which means 700 grams goes to manure and 300 grams is left in the animal's body. So in that situation, you are actually feeding poor quality feed that is not contributing much to the development, to the growth, to the reproductive, and to the milk yield. So if you want to feed something that is going to improve your milk yield, you need to identify a feed which is going to be digestible. So those non-conventional feed resources, if you are going to identify them, conserve them, and make them available for your livestock, you are going to see an improvement in terms of growth, in terms of performance. Definitely, for example, those in poultry, they will talk about having our road runners probably maturing to be able to be slaughtered at around 5, 6, 7 months. But you would find out that can be reduced to about 3-4 months by just making sure that you are providing a feed which is quality, which is likely to meet the nutrient demand of the animal. If a feed meets the nutrient demand of the animal, it's likely to reduce the slaughter age, age to slaughter, the age to puberty. So definitely those things can be done. It's up to the farmer to decide. But I'm saying look around, identify alternative feed resources that can substitute that which you are saying you cannot afford to buy it. But I'm saying you cannot actually afford to say, let me throw everything away. You can actually buy some of these things, but definitely you can actually be able to utilize your own resources that are on farm. Make sure that you grow your own cowpea, you grow your own lab, you grow your own velvet bean, you grow your own sunham, and make sure that those things are roped into the feeding process. And when you start feeding those resources, you will see an increase in terms of growth, in terms of performance. Then you start having kurima mombe, kurima nyama, and you start having kurima mombe, kurima mari, because you are likely to be able to sell your beef annually. You are likely to be able to sell your pigs monthly, because you are going to start seeing them growing at the right rate, at the right growth rate. So there are so many feedstuffs that you can actually rope into your production system without even going abroad, without actually even buying seeds. You would find out that even with your with your grasses, such as the thatching grass. When you harvest it in the good time of the year, when they are still digestible, when it's still nutritive, you can actually conserve and be able to feed your livestock and make your production grow and be able to realize profits out of livestock. You know, there is so much hope in livestock if you look around and get the feedstuffs that you can actually utilize. So we are saying, just to look around at your place, identify what you have, then you can actually utilize what you have to promote growth, to promote reproduction, proper reproduction indices, and you then benefit out of livestock. Thank you very much.